because we've given women more freedom, that one, we've discovered that
because
women are
given.
Yes, in a sense, because women have been given
because
more.
it was yours to give. That's what you think.
Jale, what happened to like news anchors, female news anchors? Everyone will say like, hey, this chick slept with this guy, slept with this nanny.
To
go to the top. That's the thing, man.
Do you think that women allow themselves to be objectified?
I think, in my opinion, women felt undermined that sort of situation and took it and ran with it. I'll give an example.
Sorry, undermined and?
But took the situation that we're in and said, being objectified, being viewed as assets. Let's sell to the highest bidder. Look at the case of, well, sorry to say, people like Vera and Huda and what other people, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
The story that now navigates around them is they're trying to create a positive narrative now of what they're doing. If you ask Vera what she does, she's a businesswoman. She sells weaves, hair, she has a salon, that sort of things.
Yeah.
That's a positive story now. But where it comes from, the thing from, everyone would say, you know Vera from, she was a vixen in this song.
Video.
She used to go to Dubai for that sort of thing. Excursions with sponsors and that sort of things. So it looks at it and says, women now become their own sort of worst enemies, because on one hand you have people who are really trying to push and say, give us our own identity, give us an opportunity to prove ourselves. Other guys are like holding themselves back and say, this sort of been settled for.
To answer that question, I would say yes.
So women do allow themselves.
Women do allow themselves to be objectified, but a caveat is there's a fallacy of choice. Because you think that a woman wants to be skimpily dressed and wants to go onto a video as a video vixen, and she could actually say, no, I wasn't forced to be here. I wasn't, a gun wasn't held to my head type thing. But does she really have choice? And choice is not your ability to say no, yes. That's very surface kind of
economic.
That's very surface kind of choice. Choice is the economic situation that disables me to have any other source of income that will now lead me to. Ooh.
Welcome to Take Out Kings. If you say something really smart, you're the king for them.
The queen.
You see that's the problem with this thing. There's no queen.
So what it does is it leads a woman who has a fairly reasonably good job to the streets to prostitute herself because she's got kids to feed. You think that a person has choice when the society and the structure and the system that she thrives in does not lend her that choice.
So I want to ask the guys. I'll start with you. Are you a feminist?
So first, I need a stronger drink than this. So I don't respond to that question. I react to it. Based on the definition of feminist, to be honest. Because when someone tells me the definition, I'm like, okay, cool. Either I am or I'm not. So let me start by defining what I see as a feminist.
In your view.
My view.
Okay, ladies.
So just hold yourselves together, calm down. So it's a guy or a lady who advocates for equal rights, equal opportunities, equal pay. Doesn't see any disparity when it comes to gender. And doesn't see any sort of superiority over the other. That's what I see as feminist.
So in that definition,
in that context, I am.
Thimba, if someone stopped you on the streets and they were like, they saw something going on femicide or something going on the news, and they asked you, Mike, are you a feminist?
I'd say yes.
You'd say yes?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us.
Same thing. I mean, I think for me, it's just like, in this conversation, for me, the understanding of feminism is equality. And I truly believe in that. 100%. Yeah. I have been, I have two amazing, beautiful sisters. I have, and I think about all the things that I've been through in business, the journey I've been on in business. In fact, interesting enough, I feel in business alone, 98% of the people that have helped us have been women. So for me, I'm all about 100% like empower the woman.
So
let's be the same.
So what do you say to people who say, I'm not a feminist, but I fight for women's rights? Because there's a fear. Because there's a fear, like you're saying. I think that you're intimating too that the term, the phrase has been hijacked, and that it means something that it doesn't.
That's a cop-out.
It doesn't today.
Are you a Kenyan or not? You can say I'm a Kenyan, but I live
But sometimes I really love utopia.
Make up your mind.
Focus.
Make up your mind. The heart of...
Are you, and the question, and I've asked you this before, do you want me to say I'm a feminist or do you want me to fight for women's rights?
Why do I have to choose?
That's true. It's one and the same thing.
It doesn't have to be one and the same
But
thing.
I think what has happened over time is the fact that I kind of get where you're going with that in the sense
because
that
I don't identify with the term.
Because the term feminist has also become synonymous with hating men.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Which is in a sense the way that a lot of people would perceive what being a feminist is, away from what actually feminism is all about. So when you go and you ask any regular dude, are you a feminist? The first thought that comes to mind is
Men bashing.
Is this the thing about hating men?
Like, can I say this?
Yeah.
Can I say this? I remember when Twitter started. Thimba just like,
Take a minute. You remember when Twitter started?
No. Okay, so here, Twitter in Kenya, when it became a really big deal. I remember this. Now, I can say this. At any one point, there are a number of people who've maybe not understood what feminism was and ended up making very ignorant statements, not knowing what it really was. And you're right, Thimba. There's someone who said, the reason why sometimes you think feminism also sends out this message of we hate men is because sometimes when men, ask questions or they try to be like, what is this feminism thing? It always comes off like, combative. Is that true? Is that how you feel sometimes?
Yes.
Once the conversation starts, you're just like, you think like it's just gonna be,
Absolutely. You're just like,
like you're scared.
you're just like, sorry.
Yeah, it's like an explosion. It's just like feminism. You don't know what's gonna get back at you. So someone told me that. So that's true. You guys feel like that's true. So you just feel like it's icy, like you're walking on eggshells. You don't even want to touch it.
Even for me as a guy saying that I'm a feminist, already I feel like it's it's like, what do you even know about women? What do you even? Exactly. It's just like, whoa. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for being male.
It's just,
you know what I'm saying? It's like when it's like when the white guys of gender.
And let me tell you guys,
when the white people of gender.
and that's so unfortunate because that phrase that you love about throwing the baby in the bathwater. I feel like feminism is one of the most noble causes that has existed in humanity. Because it's simple. It's just saying that you've got men, you've got women. We're talking about the census, and now we see that men are slightly more than women, but
women are more than men.
Women are more than men, and but it's more or less we are 50-50 in many ways, right? Why then are half of the population locked out of decision making? Why can they access services? Why can they be paid the same as men? It's a simple conversation about propel a woman to the same level as a man. And by the way, I totally get the male emasculative bashing agenda. And remember, by the way, causes are pushed by people. People are flawed. You can't
So don't throw away the cause.
You can't remove.
They will keep it there.
I know, man. That's why it's mine. You can't remove the heart and the meat of the cause just because somebody. People.
That's pretty clever.
Somebody can have been abused by a dad, by a husband, by somebody, and because of that anger, they lash it out on other people. And then you think, oh my gosh, all feminists are this vile and evil. And I remember this thing for feminists had dreadlocks, didn't shave, didn't bath, were angry, were divorced. And I'm like, no, I'm a feminist and I'm happy all the time.
You're married.
And I'm married, happily.
I want to go back a bit to a thing that you mentioned about gender roles.
Yeah.
And you talked about how when you get into a relationship, there are no roles. Just tell us, what does that mean?
I think that changed for me last year in November. I'm a preacher. So I was doing a sermon series on work. And one of the things the way that I'd been conditioned as a man growing up throughout my whole entire life was that you as a man are supposed to be the one who provides, right? And so it was one of those things that throughout the relationships that I used to have, I always used to have a problem with being, actually not even a problem, but I used to fantasize about this whole situation where as a man, I bring the baker and I have this babe who's just kind of sitting at home doing
pretty, gorgeous.
Yes, gorgeous. She's
in an apron.
I have that.
And I fantasized about that for a long time. And then So that was the ideal for me. And for me, if you asked me 2 years ago, hey, if your babe was earning more money than you, would you have a problem with it? I'd say yes. And then I did this series, right? And when I was doing this series where it's, and I was touching on the book of Genesis, where when God created man, basically male and female, that he gave a commission to them. And he said, be fruitful and multiply. And he said it to both the man and the woman. And so I sat there and I remember just kind of thinking through this, and it had such a huge impact on the way I thought about things, because I was like, wait, so the mandate for fruitfulness was given to the man and the woman. So I was like, oh, so what's this whole fantasy that I have, and where did it come from? So I had to go and start doing my own investigations. And to be honest, for me, my conclusion, just so that, because for me, I feel like this is a whole other, this is a whole podcast.
It's a whole different conversation.
But the conclusion that I came to was that I think that the only thing that is a very obvious disparity is in terms of the fact that we have a stronger physical frame than a woman. And I think that the reason for that physical difference is because historically the man is, even when you look at the animal kingdom, is the protector. Everything else, outside of you, just make sure in any situation where there's a security situation, you're the guy. You know what I'm saying? You're the one who's supposed to jump in. Everything else, for me, ended up becoming, in a sense, became questionable. So it's one of those things where for me now, all of a sudden, I begin to...
Okay.
I just want to jump onto your story, because when you look at the animal kingdom, when you look at some like animals, lions, cheetahs and everything, it's a female that actually go hunting.
And they're better hunters.
And better hunters than the male lions, sort of things. The male lion has dominance in terms of...
Good old days.
You're attacked on that to protect you and everything. However, when it comes to looking for food, them janja person, the lioness, that sort of story. Actually, it does make sense.
Let me ask you, how does it work for you when you talk about this whole gender roles thing? Because both you and your husband, I mean, we know you guys are, in media and business. How does it work when you go home? Are there roles?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever really thought about it. Okay, so here it is. So it's been so interesting how he's been extremely, ridiculously, unbelievably supportive, to the point that we never really feel like we have any gender roles to define, because I know who my true king is. You know what I mean? Like, I know who my husband is, and I know where my place is. And so I would be like, yo, listen, so I have a gig, I'm making 100K or 150K. It's here, this is what it's doing. Do you think I should take it? Do you think we should do it? What do you think? And you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes when we put ourselves in that submissive position, a lot of us make it look like it's weak, or it's just we're a team, and in every single team there's a captain. Every single team, for it to thrive, there has to be some form of direction, and it's for both of you to decide, like, okay, who's going to be the one leading this direction. And it doesn't have to be abusive, or for you to be, like, it doesn't have to be demeaning or disrespectful. So then I think that's where people get it really mixed up, because for men, because you were brought up knowing a woman, a man should provide, then now when you meet a woman who provides, you feel like, oh my God, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, and how should I react to this? Because I would rather die than tell you that I'm feeling really bad that you're providing more than me. I will hit you, I might shoot you, I will make sure that you don't go out, I will make sure you don't talk to your friends.
I cut you.
Exactly,
Is submission weak?
It's not.
I mean, Joanne, tell us of the experience.
Wow.
Yes, so Joanne, tell us about your experience.
Like many things, if abused is...
everything you say can and will be used against you.
After
this show. No. Give your honest opinion.
Okay, let me tell you, for me, to be honest, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I feel like my goosebumps are all out now, because I feel like submission has a negative connotation for women the same way feminism has a negative connotation for men.
Oh, wow. Is that true?
Just keep there.
How so? Continue.
Because submission in many instances has been abused. When you think why is it that the first thing a woman will think of when they think about submission is weakness? It's because you feel for you, society has said, for you to be submissive, you need to have a certain posture. You need to know less, speak less, show
make
yourself
less,
make less,
and even
if you make more in public fora, please just act like yeye ndio mwanaume type thing. And I feel like that's so harmful and it's so exhausting. And so then what happens is that women don't look forward to submitting. It's not a thing for, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get married because I want to submit. It's almost a thing for, okay.
Yeah, because it's like loss of power, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think in essence, what Amina is saying, there's power in submission.
Yeah. I think that you're right. There's no abuse.
Such a powerful phrase.
Just real quick, especially in the context and everything that you've spoken about. So this weekend, I was just doing a little small speaking engagement at an engagement party. And the thing is of course, they came and told me, come and share one. And when I came in there, the one thing is that I went through this scripture, the one that talks about submitting. And I completely skipped the submitting part and went directly to the part where it speaks to the men. And simply because I feel like the submission conversation is so
big.
Yes.
That's a big.
But no one ever speaks to the guy in the sense
that this is the kind of guy.
Just to attach it to what you just said, is that you see part of the reason, and this is just from listening to you speak, is that when you speak of your husband, the kind of things that I hear from her voice is, this man loves me.
Too much.
Right? And he's looking out for my interests and he's here to serve the family. Why would I not submit to this man? Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly what I'm saying.
It's almost like the chicken and the egg, and this one is very clear. What comes first? But most times when we have the conversation about submission for a woman, it's always you submit, then for the guy, you submit. But the reality is the other way around. That if you are a man
who shows true leadership. Right?
And that's so profound.
It's very true.
Serving leadership, serving your family, loving your wife. I'm telling you, I don't know any woman out there. Very few.
I'm telling you, let me explain, right? So let me explain. And we talk about this all the time, and there are times, genuinely, I do have a really busy schedule. And sometimes I'm like, my husband's all these years never complained once. He's never been like, hey, manze. But everybody else would have an opinion. Everyone else would be like, are you home enough? Are you doing this enough? Are you cooking enough? Are you eating enough? You're so small. You're so big. You're so... I'm like, first of all, let us calm it all down. You don't pay my bills. But then the person who we're with together understands what it is that I am doing. And you're right, there's so much power in you understanding, you know what, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so yes, why wouldn't you look forward to submitting to someone like that who, if I have a gig like today, I remember I told you guys before, I was like, I had to have, my husband go pick up my son and I'm the one who has to pick him. He never fails to drop him every single day, but when I cannot make it to go pick him, he doesn't question, he doesn't make me feel inferior, and I love that.
So there's a certain kind of man that you need to be
for you to get a submissive
for the
woman
to be able to submit easily and freely.
Yes, that's true.
To you. I love it. Wonderful conversation. Unfortunately, our time has run out. Thank you so much, the kings and the queens, our guests who've joined us today. Who's gone with the king, by the way?
I have Joanne.
She's the guest. But thank you so much. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's Twitter. It's Take Out Kings KE. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Take Out Kings KE. We're out.